Welcome everybody back to it. Today we're going to talk about Frieren and how she actually does work when it does come to arena and PVE stuff, right? So we're going to dive right into it, but I do want to start off with this little PSA about Taeyou. Our man Taeyou, oh man. Let's start this off with the arena, right? So let's come over here. You already see, I already tested it out in PC, right? So we come over here and we throw in our boy Taeyou. I took off gear off of Frieren for this example. So, obviously, if you don't know, right, Frieren gives 40% flat focus, fighting spirit. Right, keep that in mind, right? Very, very important to note that, right? So, at the start of the battle, she's going to be giving that amount. And you pair this with Taeyou over here. Taeyou is at 60 fighting spirit, so 60 plus 40. Bro is at 100, right? Which means he should automatically proc. But guess what? Guess what? That is not the case when it does come to our boy Taeyou. Keep in mind. So I go ahead. It's Oxlock's turn. When I end my turn, I should see Taeyou push up 100% CR. But that is not the case. That's not how it works. So if we go ahead and reread his S2, which I kind of wish they kind of reworded it a little bit better. I don't know if it's a bug or it's just intentional, right? So let's go ahead and read this, right? So when combat readiness of an enemy is decreased, gains fighting spirit equal to the amount of combat readiness reduced. And at the end of a turn, when fighting spirit is full, consumes all fighting spirits, increasing combat readiness of the caster by 100%, and granting possession for 2 turns. So when reading this, you can instantly believe, like, oh, at 100 fighting spirit, he is going to proc his second turn. But, sadly, rereading it, it is contentional based on the pushback. So if you don't get the pushback, you are not going to be getting the 100% CR push. Now again, like I said, I think they could have reworded this much better. It could have been better, but you know, I guess it is what it is, right? Again, I don't think it's a bug. I think it is the way intentionally it is. Because again, when you read right here, gains fighting spirit equal to the amount of combat readiness reduced. And then it says, and that right there is probably why they're going to say it doesn't work the way it works, right? So, and at the end of the turn, you know, that's when he does get the push. So again, he does not work. Sadly, our boy Taeyou does not work. I was extremely happy going into this, hoping he would actually work because, well, guess what? Our boy Taeyou, I could actually use him for something that's not relying on pushback, but that's not exactly what happened, right? Even looking at his actual on release, that's exactly what it does say. But again, a little quick PSA talking about Arena. But again, in terms of Arena, she's very, very okay when it comes to the 40% push and all that. You can do quite a bit of different stuff with that, but I'll be showcasing that later on. But again, I just want to show a little PSA in terms of Arena. That Taeyou does not really work the way he should be. But it is what it is. Now let's go ahead and look at Side Story, which honestly, this is mainly for any PvE content. Now I will say this, where are you going to bring Frieren? You know, maybe as a new player, you could potentially bring her inside of Abyss, especially thanks to her S1, right? So let's go over here to Adventure. Let's go to Eulogy of a Saint. Maybe not Abyss. I don't think Abyss. Just because of one reason, right? So let's go over here and let's just start the battle and let's see what happens, right? So we start the battle, right? We are going to be seeing a 40% fighting spirit on our Setsuga, and we're going to see about 2 focus on our Sage Vivian. Now keep this in mind, right? Again, all thanks because of Frieren's passive. Very, very broken, right? But keep in mind that this, it says at the start of the battle. So, Arbiter Vildred, I rip S3, everything dies, right? Boom. Their fighting spirits and focus does go up. Now again, this is actually kind of insane when it does consider, you know, PvE content. But again, can you really use this in Abyss? Let's say you do take Frieren to Abyss. I can potentially see her working inside of Abyss because there is 2 stages, right? There are 2 stages most of the time when it comes to Abyss because of that's just how Abyss works. But the main reason I do think she could actually work in there is because when you look at her S1 seems really, really good when it comes to just PvE content because, again, she does attacks all enemies with flame magic if it is her turn. And the damage dealt increases proportion to the amount of enemies lost health. That is actually kind of crazy. I like this. Again, it is started off as a single hit. When it starts off as a single hit, And then it does an AoE right after, right? So I can definitely see her being very, very good inside of PvE content. Don't downplay that damage. That damage can be really, really insane, right? So again, I rip Art of Vigil S3 again, and we are going to be seeing Setsuka and Sage Vivian at full resources, which is kind of insane when you really think about it, because that means Setsuka could go ahead and rip S3 right away if everything does not die, right? So even S1, don't kill everything. Well, never mind, everything's gonna die anyways. Sage Vivian, like a soul burn. Like, I think this is very, very good for PvE content. She can definitely work, right? And I think that's a very, very plus on that side. Again, PvP sake, the only problem is Taeyou's the biggest one. I haven't really seen an issue with any other characters. I've been testing them out and all that. They work as is intended, right? It does work like it is intended to work. But again, our Taeyou situation, it's just, I guess it just needs better wording. And I will say though, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, this passive, if you get hit by something with, Janua's S1 is a good example, right? I'm pretty sure from my testing, Janua S1 or anything with like a 2-part S1 can kind of beat her down. Same thing with Seal. If you don't know how Seal works, she instantly loses this barrier when she does get sealed. It is kind of funny how this, it makes sense. It makes sense. But when she does get sealed, she's cooked. She's cooked, right? Again, this all relies on souls, but if she gets sealed, it just completely disappears, and it absolutely does look funny. Again, I'll probably put up on the screen showing you her actually getting sealed or not. If I don't, well, then it is what it is. But overall, in terms of a character, I still think she's going to be great, but from my testing already inside of Arena, there are going to be some problems I do have to figure out. But I do think she is actually not that bad of a character. I do like how she actually plays, and I think she's good. Now, again, in PvE content, I'm pretty sure it works as intended, because you are going into a new stage, so it is technically at the start of the battle, so it does make sense. But overall, again, make sure to pull this character, regardless of what happens with this character in terms of if she falls off very, very quickly and all that. I still think she's still going to be very, very good, just because of having these 40% resource alone. I think it's kind of insane, and you really don't want to ignore that, because, again, let's be realistic here. 40%, the only character in this game to increase resources, is kind of broken. It is going to be broken for any character moving forward that has any resource, right? So keep this in mind. It is actually very important. But other than that, though, thank you for watching the video. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you guys later on. And yet again, thank you guys for all support. I love you guys, and peace out.